Welcome to the show. Today we have Anwin Mbah on the show, and she is a passionate business wealth strategist who now guides businesswomen using data-driven systems to transform their ventures. Her mission is to collaborate with you to achieve financial clarity and control so you can enjoy the rewards of your business, which is obviously fun, freedom, and cherished family time. So really a great fit for this podcast, and I think we're going to learn a lot from Anwin. So welcome to the show again.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
And for our audience, don't forget, build a thriving freelance business using corporate skills you already have with my Corporate to Contract Core. It's a program and course, and use the code podcast for $100 off. And you can look at the bottom of the show notes for the website and the information. So Anwin, let's just kind of start out. If you could tell yourself one thing when you started your entrepreneurial journey, what would it be?
It's not as easy as it looks. That is for sure. Very much as valuable as have is, as creative as it might be, when you build it, they don't just come. That is very true.
There's quite a little bit of hustle. I know, like, sometimes in today's age, like, there's this thing going around I've seen on Instagram mostly, not LinkedIn, but on Instagram, that like people are not subscribing to hustle culture anymore, which I get. You don't want to be working yourself into the ground, but that's why my podcast is called Her Balanced Hustle, because there is a balance there, but you still need that hustle in order to get clients. So I agree with you. It's not always as easy as you think it will. So tell us a little bit about your business and even how you got to the point. I know there's a story with your car and payments. So go into that for us. What is your business now today? How did you get there?
Oh, well, fluency, as it says, is helping businesswomen become fluent with wealth. And that is all around, using the data that is already in your business because you're sitting on wealth. And that kind of came from my personal journey, both in business as well as my personal life around money and finance. And I started off, in the banking system and went through it in the investment banking space. And as you can see, my story kind of started off with me going to university, coming out, thinking I'll have the great job. I didn't have the great job. I had to start where I was. And the spending was still there because, again, being at university, you have no correlation about money because you're on student loans and so forth. This money just drops in your account and you spend it. There's no work for it. So I still had that compulsive spending with me when I went into work. And that is where my car got repossessed because I didn't keep up with my payments. But I was earning the money, but I wasn't keeping up with my repayments. And that kind of catapulted and became the fact that it got repossessed. And that was kind of my first wake-up call into, okay, this is not right. What is going on? And it's around that financial journey, going into, dealing with what my money story was and why I was having this relationship with money, that kind of made me understand that a lot of this is built on the fact that I was trying to be who I wasn't. So I'm a compulsive saver. I mean, not compulsive saver, compulsive spender. I wish I was a compulsive saver. I'm a compulsive spender. And the rhetoric is that you shouldn't be like that. You should save, you should invest, you should do this. There's a lot of shoulds out there, but then your inbuilt self doesn't relate to that. And it's, again, understanding, okay, how do I mitigate all these risks that I'm doing that are depleting my wealth so that I could then, have a car that doesn't get taken away, have a house that doesn't get repossessed, and all this kind of thing. So that's kind of where my journey started with money. And then working in the investment banking space, I also noticed that a lot of our high net worth clients were all business owners. And the way we were managing their money was very different from the way I saw the average business owner that I came across were dealing with their business and their money. And a lot of it had nothing to do with how much their actual worth was in regards to what we were holding for them in the bank. It was more the systems and the processes that they had in place with the way they were managing their business than that got us involved, because we managed your business so well that they had the 5 million to be able to then put in the bank so that we could manage it for them. So it was those that I was like, okay, this is interesting, because a lot of this everybody can do. So what aren't smaller business owners that are not yet at their 5 million or have 5 million disposable, why aren't they not doing it? So that is where wealth fluency came about. It was taking those strategies that I know everybody can implement that had nothing to do with how much money it was, but more the systems and the processes that you had in place and how you went about, the financial management of your business. As we know, when you start your business, there's this whole invest everything in your business, put everything back in your business. And a lot of the time, what I found is working with clients, I'll ask, so you're reinvesting everything back in your business and you're not paying yourself. Okay, nothing bad with that. But how much are you reinvesting in your business?
So what is one of the things then that you recommend to women? One of the first steps when you're looking at their business, what do you say needs to change?
The first steps is usually when you just start your business, everything is about sales, and that is understandable. But also at the end of it is like you've put in all this work at the front end. You have to make sure that the back end is there to be able to support that. So a lot of businesses know how to make money,
Mhm.
but then don't know how to keep the money. So
Mm.
it's a revolving door. As it comes in, it goes out. So the very first thing I would say is what is your financial controls, I would say. I know it's slightly jargony word, but how do your payments come in? What are those fees going out? Um, what are the different options that you have for people to pay you? How easy is it for people to pay you? When the money comes in, how much are you paying yourself? How much are you putting away for taxes? What
Mhm.
is your operational cost like? So the four main things that I tell every business owner to look at is what are you paying yourself? What is your profit? What is your operational cost? And what are you putting away for taxes? Even if
Mm.
it's $5, still split it in those four categories so that you get into the habit of, exercising that muscle, that financial muscle of having those controls in place so that it doesn't matter how much you earn, you've already mastered the back end of your finances.
Mhm. So you mentioned on your website that you use data-driven systems to transform them into profitable, sustainable wealth generators without slogging through copious spreadsheets, reports, and systems. So how do you do that without the slogging? I love that word.
Usually, what tends to happen is that you have a beautiful business that is ticking along, but then you have your CRM, and your CRM obviously is producing data. And most times, you might go in and look at, how that data is working. Then you have probably your Calendly, and that is producing reports as well that you might go check. Then you have your QuickBooks, and that is producing reports. And then maybe you might have your marketing agency or your social media, and they are producing analytics that you need to go bring. And usually what tends to happen is that the business owner, bless them, they'll sit down now and get all the different reports from the different systems and try to piece it together to see how my business is doing. What are the cogs and wheels that are ticking it? What are the revenue generating activities? What are the administrative activities? And usually administrative activities don't generate revenue. You just have to
Mhm.
do it because you have to do it. And then what are the activities are literally just, fresh air. They're not really doing anything. So what then I tend to do is bring all that data together and centralize it and put it in a dashboard so that you're able to see all of this. Okay, how am I doing financially? How are my funnels doing? How is my operations doing? How is my sales rep doing? You're able to see these all in one place without having to then glue together and try to piece together all of this by yourself. And not only that, because there's the analytical back end of it as well, where I see, okay, you have, you know, this particular page on your website, let's say, is the page where you get your calls booked, and how much traffic is getting to that page, and what events, maybe you do webinars, what events are leading people to that page, and how many of those people are converting, and when they convert, what are your close rates, and after your close rates, how many people are paying on time, how many people are not paying on time, how many full payments do you have compared to payment plans, and kind of create the story of what is happening in your business so that you're able to then get those actionable insights to be able to say, okay, so if this is what is happening and I'm doing, 3 live events on YouTube and then doing one live event on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn events seems to be able to bring more people to book calls than my 3 YouTube events. So maybe I should swap it around, do 3 on LinkedIn and 1 on YouTube.
Mm.
Those kind of actionable insights that you're able to say, okay, this is where, my revenue is coming from. So I should double down on these. And these are not working. Should I experiment a bit further? Should I tweak it? What else could I try? You do not want to break what works. And
Yes.
usually we do not know what works, or we might be assuming what works and which area works, because your business is basically one body. It's a bit like the knee-jerk reaction. You knock the knee and the leg swings.
Mm.
And sometimes we do not have the visibility to see, okay, if we knock this, then what other areas of the business would we see, sparks fly. So that's basically what I do. You do not have to look at those sheets no more, except if you want to. There are 2 different characters that I tend to work with. Those that know they need to look at their data, but don't have the time or the expertise to do that. And those that love their data, but most times they don't have the time because they want to do more of the visionary stuff.
Mm.
To their business. So those are the 2 characteristics that work. Some people still go in and, still, look at what is happening in Calendly, look at what is happening in Active Campaign and try to see, okay, how does this put together? But then I just put it all together for you. Centralize it so that you're able to see exactly how, the little Mexican wave works
Mm.
in your business and what story is trying to tell you.
So then, do you make it so that it's automated so then they can always go in, they see a centralized place, or do you have to do this manually all the time?
Most of the time, 100% of the time, it's automated. So it's a bit like linking your Facebook ads account to the platform so that then I'm able to build a lot of this matrix. So maybe at this particular point in your business, you want to focus on, building your audience because you've got a big launch coming on. So then we focus on, okay, what do we want to look at? We want to look at how many followers you're getting on the different platforms. Then we, bring that up to, the executive point of view so that you're able to see, okay, how that's happening month on month. So it's automated, it all links in, like all the systems kind of integrate with each other nowadays so that you're able to see it and you go in and it's updated as the data is updating. If somebody clicks on your Calendly and books a call, that will show up that, oh, you've got an additional call. So you can see that growth and that difference on the
Mm.
dashboard.
Oh, interesting. Can you give us an example of someone you worked with who really changed the way they ran their business based on your help, your support, and your business?
Okay. So I worked with a retailer. She had 4 sites, well, 3 physical sites and 1 online site. So 4 different sites, I would call that. And what she was trying to do is that she was trying to hit the 8-figure mark. And what's happening there is that she found herself being the bottleneck because a lot of the time she still had to, be the active person, going to the branches and making sure that the staff were doing what they wanted to do. And this was a jewelry business, by the way. The staff was doing what they wanted to do, and the promotions that she wanted out were going out. She was actively still managing that and having issues in regards to the staff that she had and what ROI or turnarounds she wanted from them. So it was articulating, taking your brain, having a brain dump. Usually business owners know what they want and can do it themselves, but sometimes there's that barrier in regards to getting somebody else to do it the way you wanted to do it. So it was looking at that, okay, how much it is that each site is currently making and what it is that you are trying to achieve. So what we did then is we obviously met, had a sit down and go through, okay, where is she currently? What is each of her sites producing and where does she want to be? And what are the challenges that she was having in regards to she feeling like she was the bottleneck in her business? Okay, why did she feel like she was a bottleneck? What areas did she feel like could be doing better, but they're not because she was, still part of the process? So looking at all of those, because more times than none, you have better insight of exactly what's happening in your business. And you might just need, just a little translation to be able to clarify it and understand a bit better what it is that's happening. Like if you have like a pixelated picture and you get a photo Photoshop person to come and do a little bit of typing, and then it kind of just
Mm.
clarifies the picture. That is basically all she needed. So what we did with her is obviously I built her the executive dashboard so she's able to see how much each branch is doing, how each team member is performing, what were her best sellers in each branch. And we noticed that actually it wasn't, because normally she would look at bestseller overall in regards to what was happening in QuickBooks. So this was the item that was selling the most. But what we noticed is that each uh, store had a different bestseller. And that was interesting because then she knew what to push and what to promote and diversify her marketing campaigns, so to say. And what also we looked at is then what processes was she involved in and
Mm.
how we can scale her back from the processes so that they're more automated and she has more confidence in being able to hand over those tasks to somebody else. So that kind of helped again with the hiring in regards to we're able to articulate, okay, let's talk through how exactly do you go about, packaging the jewelry? What does that look like? And how do you go about the inventory? How does that look like? And talk me through it. Sometimes talking through it kind of helps so that you're just talking and I'm there, okay, taking notes avidly, because then it's easier than rather than me saying, oh, you go away and do it, because then you tend to kind of overthink it a bit. So you just talk through it and then I will take notes. So we're able to come up with, okay, this is what you do in each process. So if somebody needs to, update an inventory, if somebody needs to, change exactly what it is that the promotion is going to be based on activity on the ground, then this is the steps that they go through so that you are confident that the decisions are being made and you can just approve decisions than being part of the whole, rigmarole of getting to that decision. And then that is that she was able to see all of this and have more confidence in what it is that she was doing. And she had the gut feeling of what it is that she needed to look at. But now the data was there to be able to back a lot of that gut feeling to say, oh, okay, so I was right. So she swapped out a couple of team members between the branches. She let go of some, and then she brought in a marketing person. She also brought in a CEO, an operations person as well, to kind of help her manage things, especially her inventory, kind of manage the operational side of things so that she can kind of look more on her expansion, especially on the online space in regards to how she was going to best build out her jewelry business. So she did hit her 1 million mark. She did hit her 1 million mark. And I think the last time we spoke, she was about to hit her 2 million mark. So she's comfortable. She knows how to go into the dashboards and look at the metrics that she wants. She's able to also drill down if she wants to. Sometimes, you might just see, okay, of my 3 branches, maybe Hawaii is doing the best. Let's drill down and see what about Hawaii, or maybe, my LA branch is not doing so well. Let me drill down and see what it is telling me. Not every time you need to do that, because again, that's what I'm there for. I'm there to analyze that and give you those actionable insights. But at a face value, you can go in and be able to see it. So for me, it was just fantastic that she was able to get in there and just look at her numbers without feeling overwhelmed by it. Okay. And not necessarily having to figure it out as well, because we've gone through it a couple of times. You can see the flow of, okay, this is what my finances look like, and this is how it feeds into my sales, my marketing, then go down into my operations and how all of that then pans out.
Oh, that's really fascinating. So do you work only with women who have businesses that are, I don't know, 500K or above in gross revenue, or do you work with really any business owner? And do you work, I think I'm assuming you work with women only, but maybe not. No, you do work with women only. That was part of your bio. Okay. Yeah. So do you only work with women who make above a certain threshold with their business, or no?
I would say no, I don't. But from what I have seen, they seem to be of a certain threshold, anyways. And this tends to be because, again, when it comes to your comfort level, when it comes to also the amount of data that you produce, it would have an impact in regards to the kind of service that you need. So when you are at the very beginning of your business, you're very much sales focused. You're trying to bring in the money. And that is, again, within a certain revenue mark. There's nothing that anybody can do about it. That's just the way it is. Then when you move now from, your 6 figures and you're looking now to hit 7, 8 figures, then you start thinking of, not just growth, you're thinking of scaling now, you're thinking of optimization. And that's usually where I come in. I come in to, do the optimization. So it's a bit like a mechanic. A mechanic can totally do your road test and make sure that, your car is legal, but your mechanic cannot build a car for you.
That makes
So
sense.
you build a car and you make sure that, it's running. But then, your yearly tweaks, you go to the mechanic and get your certificate. And again, I'm kind of using the UK analogy. We have like an MOT road test, and it's a yearly thing. And you have to do it yearly to prove that your car is still roadworthy. And you take that to the mechanic and, they change the oil, the sparks and all that. And that is basically it. So even though I am not necessarily at a specific revenue for the businesses I work with, they tend to be a specific level and a specific revenue, because I'm thinking about, okay, I've got all these things in place, but I know I can do better. I've maxed out on, DIYing. What can I do more? What more can I get out of my business? Or, and I've got all this information. How do I piece this information together? I kind of had that struggle with that around my marketing. I'm like, okay, and I'm a finance person. So it's like, okay, you've got all this, CTA and, CAC and lifetime value and so forth. Now what?
Right.
So it's usually the now what. So that is usually where I come in. Now what? What do I do with all these things? And they're working around, they're ticking well. But you can do more. You can, pay yourself more. You can, or you want to give yourself more time to either, work on your business and see where it is going in 5 and 10 years time, or you want to scale down because maybe now you've got a new family member. A lot of the women I work with, they've got kids. A lot of the men I work with as well, they've got aging parents. So as much as we love our business, as much as we want to dedicate ourselves to our business, life has its own plans. So you have to be able to, accommodate. Your priorities might change. You have to accommodate for the fact that your expectations might change as well. People have, especially now where it's when the boomers are kind of retiring, and we have a lot of boomers that have fantastic businesses, but they're selling it now because they're at a different phase of their life and they cannot be bothered with having to, manage a business at that intensity any longer. We have to admit that our intensity will decline as we, as we become older, and it's accommodating for that and having the wherewithal to be able to see that that will happen, because it happens in all of us. On majority of the cases, I know there are very few our 90-year-olds that are still there. Warren Buffett, I'm talking to you, are still there, very strong in their businesses. But again, you always want to put yourself in the position that you have the option to, but you're not obligated to.
That's super fascinating. And I think what is interesting about that, and if we kind of look at it as this, holistic level, where it's very true that when you start out in your business, it's all about sales. It's all about like just getting in the clients, bringing in the clients. And then as it grows, you begin to realize you hit a plateau. And that's basically where you come in. People have hit that plateau and they're maybe at a certain threshold of income. And you're the one that comes in and says, here's how we make it so that we can automate it so that you can bring in more, so you can see more, and that wealth goes into your business and you're using that wealth from your business properly, which I think if many of our audience is listening, this is something that they can benefit from, especially as they continue to grow their business. So I wanted to focus a little bit more on you yourself as an entrepreneur and your business. What do you think has been the biggest factor for you in being able to maintain a personal life while still being an entrepreneur who has clients and a lot of work that you need to do?
For me, Kiri, it has been accepting that there'll be unbalances, which is great when you say the balance hustle. Is just accepting that there'll be days where you'll be 100%, well, maybe not 100%. Let's give it 70% mom and 30% business, or 70% wife, partner, whatever that other aspect of your life is, and 30% business. And then there'll be other times where you're 90% business and your kids are calling you auntie. It's just accepting and being okay with the fact that your business is seasonal. Your availability for certain aspects of your business is seasonal. If again, it's not seasonal and you're spending years and years and years, maybe your kids might permanently call you auntie, and that's not what we want. So for me, what worked for me was accepting the fact that, maybe that 2 months when I'm going into a launch, I might not be as available from a wife, from a mother, from a friend, sister, all that perspective. But then on other times where I'm probably focused more on the delivery of the services that I've been, launching, then now I can kind of dedicate myself now. Okay, I'll deliver for my clients. And then I go back to, the mom, the outing, the friends, I'm alive, I'm back, I'm still here. And accepting that a lot of the time, especially when I was in the corporate world, we have this, I would say, myth that we can balance it, that, every day is going to be a 50-50. It's not. It never is. Something will always have a priority. And regardless of what that priority is, that is where your attention, your resources, your funding will go. And then on other times, something else. So it's understanding for me, okay, these are the 7 areas of my life. And this is how it is happening. I kind of keep an eye on it. I don't just let it happen. But maybe, I didn't do as many family events for the last, 4 weeks. Then intentionally, okay, let's, go to the park, go out for a Saturday and kind of, build that back in. Because sometimes us as business owners as well, we get so consumed and we go into that rabbit hole of, okay, this is what we're trying to do. And that hunger and that fire is there for us to deliver, not only against our expectations of ourselves, but our clients' expectations, our family expectations, that we tend to forget that we're doing all that to then spend the time with the family.
I know. It turns into like an obsession. At least that's what I call it with me. All of a sudden, I'm just so focused and I'm so like, I need to get this done. I need to do this. I need to do this. And it consumes me. I'm thinking about it all the time until, it's taking place or there's some kind of resolution. Then I'm like, oh, yeah, I have a family. Oh, yeah. Even though I'm there, at dinner and I'm very present, there's still like this part of me. And I have a very great schedule the way I've worked it up. Like, I only work pretty much 3 days a week. I have 2 days where I'm with my youngest. And yet I still, on those 2 days, sometimes I'm just thinking and have ideas and everything's going on in my head. So that as soon as I sit down at the computer, I'm like typing out and doing stuff super fast. What do you think are some effective time management techniques that you've learned as a woman entrepreneur that you can share with others?
This might not be very popular, but I kind of go with the flow because, as you said, there are times when you're intense and you overproduce. And then there are times where you're very relaxed and procrastination takes place. And it's accepting that that will happen and mitigating the fact that I know that when I get into it, I get into it. And then when I get totally lazy and a bum, then that happens as well. So it's being
and
able to
that's
balance that
okay.
out.
Like, yeah, we need to make it clear that is okay. Because as all the women I interview on this show, myself included, we tend to be very ambitious. So when we have a day where our body is telling us, or like, I just can't do it anymore, our mind is like, I'm fried, right? Like, it's okay. We can take that day to watch TV or do whatever we need to do or whatever we want. We don't have to, be go, go, go all the time. Well, at least that's what I coach as well. Because if there's like 3 weeks of that, then maybe, and you're not sick, then maybe we should think about what's going on that's a deeper level. But if there's a day or two and you're just like, oh, I'm done, it's okay. And that's what I feel like I hear you saying, like accept
So,
these different ups and downs that come with being an entrepreneur.
absolutely, 100%. That is what I'm saying. Give yourself grace. Uh, when I normally do clients, when I speak to them, I'm like, okay, when you're thinking about things, always give yourself 10%, 5% for life, and 5% for people. And that kind of gives you that buffer that you need because life is going to do what life is going to do. And it doesn't care how planned out to the minute your schedule is. And then you're working with people. As much as I love people, people are fickle. So we have to accommodate for that they have lives as well. Things might be going on. And you do not want the fact that, when one thing's happen, everything comes to a halt. So that kind of 10% buffer that you give yourself on everything, finances, time, you know, kind of gives you then the room to kind of, okay,
Mhm.
relax. It's fine. So even on days then that, as you say, you don't feel like doing anything, you're like, okay, it's fine. Because I know when I'm on the gear, when I'm on it, it happens, you
Mhm.
know. And it's giving, for me, it was a big thing about just allowing it to be. Because as you said, we're very, this is what needs to happen at this time, by this time.
Mm.
In 5 years, I want to have done this, conquered the world, fly to the moon, built a mansion on Mars. It's like, that's great, but give yourself some buffer because there'll be days that you don't want to do it. And the last thing is that you don't want to be wealthy and rich and then spend all of that now taking care of your health because you didn't think of it when you were
Mm.
building all this wealth. Okay. You want to be wealthy and rich, but also with people around you that love you. So you do not want to then be the lonely millionaire. Why were you building all the wealth to start with? So always go back to, as I've said, my F words, fun, freedom, and family time, and kind of still sift things through that. Is it fun? Will it give me freedom? Will it give me more family time? And when you start finding yourself like, okay, this doesn't necessarily give it, or if I work, really hard for 3 months, then I know that, okay, I'll have 6 months where I'll have more family time. The way you were saying, like
Mm.
if you find yourself sick 3 weeks in or 3 months in and you're still doing it, then maybe, we'll have to think about it. Be intentional. This is crazy. Even when procrastinating and being lazy, you want to be intentional about it. You want to know, okay, this has been budgeted for, if that makes sense.
Mm.
I knew that this was going to happen. And I kind of say it's a bit like a cycle. You know it's going to happen,
Mhm.
whether you like it or not. So you might as well just prepare for it, right? It's kind of the same kind of philosophy that I'm going to have blah days, I'm going to have rainy days. So rather than trying to work and force my way through it, like the Gallup research a few years back now was kind of made a study about corporates. I kind of found out that companies that allow their employees to focus on their strength saw a 40% increase in revenue.
Mm.
And 40% is not a small number.
Mm-mm.
40% is not a small number. So for me, everything is all about, okay, how do I hone in my strengths? How do I focus on my strengths and outsource my not so strong fortes or even mitigate them so that it doesn't, as I say, either it's increasing your wealth or it's depleting your wealth.
Mm.
So if I focus on my strengths, they're definitely increasing my wealth. The activities that I do that are just instinctively me, that are depleting my wealth, what measures could I put in place so that that doesn't happen,
Mm.
so that it doesn't cause. So if I know every month for at least a week, or let's say 7 days scattered around the month somewhere, I'm not going to feel like working. So how do I then mitigate for that? Does that mean that maybe on some days where I want to work 4 hours, I'll have to work 8 hours?
Mm.
Then so be it. Because most of the time, when you're even working 8 hours, you'll be like, oh, I'm human, I need to eat. Let's come out for air. So that even happens even without you, thinking about it. So definitely focus on what your forte is and allow yourself the lazy days, allow yourself the time off, because you know yourself better than anybody else that when you're in the zone, you are in the zone. But
Mm,
as you say, if you find yourself not in the zone for longer periods of time, then you want to look back at, okay, what is it? Have I lost my motivation? Don't I enjoy working with this type of clients anymore? Or do I want to focus on another passion of mine? You want to start looking back at then, okay, what are those whys and why am I not as driven as I used to be?
mm-hmm. Absolutely agree. And I do this a lot with my coaching as well. We talk about the why and why you're doing it because that's really the underlying factor of what's going to bring you to success and keep you
Yeah.
motivated. Even if you have days that you're like, oh, I can't do this, then allow yourself those days. But that why, if that why is strong enough, it will pick you back up again and you'll keep going. So you did talk a lot about, mitigating and like the depleting of your wealth and mitigating your, I don't want to say weaknesses, but if it's not your strength. And you mentioned to me off air that you do have some freelancers that work with you on projects. So how do you make sure that you're hiring the right people for the projects that aren't going to waste your time or your money or not be a good fit? What hiring advice can you give to people who are looking at bringing on freelancers?
First things first, you are going to have some duds. That
I know,
is
yes.
that is just that is just how we start out. There is no, bulletproof way to say, okay, when you go out there, you're going to get the right person. Sometimes we do have to kind of um, trial and error some people to figure out, okay, these are my red flags and these are my green flags. My red flags and my green flags are different from your red flags and your green flags. And sometimes you might not know that until you're in the element. There was this meme going around sometime where I think a daughter sent her dad, the movie Taken,
I've
where
never
the
seen it, but yes, my husband loves that movie. I know enough about it.
so there's a meme like, oh dad, if anything happens to me, I want you to be like this. And it's like, yeah, as much as you do, the dad in that is very different from your real dad. So that's just goes to say that we have kind of different things that suit us and different things that don't suit us. And when it comes to me bringing somebody on, is again, the mindset is quite important for me. And that is kind of what I look at when I'm actually going through the interview process in regards to where are they and also how they deal with errors. And I would say how they deal with failure, but it's not a failure because literally there are bigger issues in life, but how they deal with errors. And if it's just, okay, it's done, let's get on with it. Or is it, okay, full on panic? How do I fix it so that, Anwin doesn't get mad? And I'm like, no, just let me know. And, two heads are better than one. So for me, it's mindset, is how they deal with errors and also how they communicate. Those are my three, green flags in regards to who I'm looking for. In regards to skill set, coming from a corporate world, I'm not big on, saving people out on skill set because I know my business, right? And I know the kind of results I want. And you are an expert. I'm not telling you how to do your job. I just know that I want my wall to be blue. So
Mhm,
you're the decorator, just make it blue. And this is the kind of blue I want. I want a
mhm.
blue that's going to make you comfortable, it's going to make you refresh. I want you to look at it and it feels like you're looking at the sea. Is that enough information? Okay, please make my wall blue. So that is kind of the level I'm at. If there are any issues, tell me and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. And that's the kind of level that I'm dealing with in regards to how I go about people. So what I would say to the listeners when you're recruiting, you want to make sure that it's a fit for you as a person as well, because you would be dealing with this person on a day-to-day basis. And even if you've got some fantastic people that are great at what they do, but it is hard work working with them. Is that the kind of person you want? Or do you want somebody that is okay with their skills, but you guys get along as a house on fire? So whatever comes up is something that you can work through as a team. And also they're invested as well. They've got skin in the game. And a lot of the times employees, they've got skin in the game because, they've got, their paycheck coming out. But when it comes to freelancers, they're a bit more dismissive in regards to your business because they're trying to build their thing as well. So how can you build a relationship so that they've got skin in the game as well?
Mm.
Maybe, the way your compensation works could be have an additional element where they've got skin in the game. Obviously, if we hit this certain particular target, you get X more, you get X this, you get X that. So you want
Mm.
to kind of, incentivize them to kind of, be passionate about your business the way you are, but also your vision and your values and your mission as well will play a big part.
Mm.
And what I love through all the trials and errors in regards to, bringing on different people, there's certain individuals now that I just go back to. There's
Yes.
no there's no long, drawn out process about it, but I just go back to. And your community as well as a business owner, you want to be very selective in regards to the people that you have around you because these will be your referral buddies.
Hmm.
So if I'm looking for, okay, I need somebody that is familiar with ClickUp because I need them to do this for me. The first people I'll go to is my network in regards to guys, do you know anybody? And then most times than none, when I get a referral from them, I guess there's that level of trustworthiness that maybe I don't scrutinize the individual as much. Or I don't have it shortened my interview period as well. So that means I can onboard them faster to get the thing that I need done faster
Mm.
as well. But then if you just go and just, put something on, let's say Facebook, you're going to get 1,000,001
Yeah.
people, chiming in. And that's now your time now to start sieving through, to start, go through the
Yep.
selection. Who am I going to talk to? Who am I not going to talk to? So that would be the last thing as well. Your network can save you so much time and so much money in regards to, because every hour that you spend sieving through that is an hour that you could have been doing a revenue generating activity.
Yeah. 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 So I know referrals are so huge for any business owner. If you're going to hire someone, try to do it through your network first. See if anyone has any good recommendations. I did that recently with my marketing when I was hiring a new marketing VA, but unfortunately, everyone that was recommended was completely booked to capacity. So I had to end up doing more of like a general shout out and it took longer. Definitely a lot longer, like 3 months. But I took my time because I was like, I want this to be a really good fit. So I just want to ask one quick question before we wrap this up. Can you tell me what you think is the most important action step you took to scale your business?
Get out of your comfort zone. I know, I know we hear it so much and it's kind of a blanket statement. For me, it was around reaching out to people. And I had a lot of mindset blocks, I would say, in regards to reaching out. There's a whole industry around, oh, you don't reach out, you wait for inbound, nothing cold. We do nothing cold, only hot
Mm-hmm.
and warm. I'm like, okay. And that was very much like that because being a back end analytical person, I semi introvert, but I just like back end things. So reaching out to people was a big, big issue for me. I was like, oh, they think I'm spamming them. Oh my God, this is the end of the world. How could I? I was a car saleswoman. Oh God, kill me now. So I was overcoming a lot of that self-talk in my head in regards to reaching out to individuals and putting it in a positive way so that I'm able to overcome that block of reaching out and, introducing myself, what I can offer and how I can help businesses. And that was one big one for me because I remember vividly that my lead generation was abysmal in regards to being able to reach out to individuals and being able to reach out to businesses outside my immediate network. Because as much as we love social media, at a certain time, it becomes like, a golden cage. You're kind of stuck within what reach they give you,
Right.
and there's nothing you can do about it. So that would be my first thing. Get out of your comfort zone in every aspect that you can within your business. Accept your finances. You do not want to do that with your finances.
Yeah. I like that little line put in there. Accept your finances. Don't get out of your comfort zone with your finances. I like that. All right.
No.
Well, thank you, Awi. You've been really great, and I've loved this discussion. Can you tell us where we can find you? We'll put all that information in the show notes if someone wants to connect with you.
Oh, absolutely. You can find me on LinkedIn. That is usually where I live, and on my website. So LinkedIn and website, Mbah, and website wealthfluency.com. And most
Wonderful.
other platforms, but that's where I live.
Yeah, me too. LinkedIn is my main platform. So, what is one philosophy, mantra, or quote you try to run your business by?
Okay, so my favorite quote, self-quote, is don't let the limitations of your eyes limit your mind. For the longer you're not taking action, the more wealth you're losing.
Ooh, say that one more time for us.
Don't let the limitations of your eyes limit your mind. For the longer you're not taking action, the more wealth you're losing.
Mm, I just had to have that twice. I've never heard anything like that. So that was just spot on. Beautiful. So thank you again for joining me on this interview, Anwi. And if you're listening and you're part of our audience, if you found this episode really interesting and informative, share it with your friends because Anwi will appreciate that. I will appreciate that. You'll help grow the podcast. And until next time, you can definitely find me on LinkedIn, like I just said, Kiri Mohan, or you can tag me on Instagram at the Kiri Mohan. Thanks again, Anwi.
Thank you.